wish any of that was for me. It's not for me at all. Viola, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on Fences. Unbelievable, incredible work by you guys who, part of the original cast, not the original cast, but when you did it again on Broadway, was it 2010?
2010, we did 114 performances.
I can't imagine doing 114 performances of this show. The language is so dense and beautiful. Would you consider Fences and August Wilson's work in that some of the more difficult theater work that you've done?
I don't know about that. Listen, I did some Greek tragedies. That's difficult. But yeah, it is difficult. It's difficult to handle the language. You have Denzel had a 13-page monologue. You know, I had a 4-page monologue. And he has a tendency to write monologues that are that are very rapid, that are like rants. So you got to keep it going. But it's got to be felt. And August, you cannot leave out a word. It's very much like Shakespeare in that sense. You can't leave out an and or a but, or you mess up the whole poetry of the line. And in fact, when you would rehearse with August, if you missed an and or a but, you'd have to go back and do it again. Really? Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
He was pretty strict in rehearsals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, he was the writer, he wasn't the director, but you know, he took that role on. And but it's the language that, even though it's very familiar how they talk, it's very familiar to African American language, but there's poetry in it. You know, she could have easily said when she, you know, walks away from Troy, you know, I'm going, you got to go. But she says, you're a womanless man. That's powerful.
It's a stylized familiarity, right? Because it feels familiar in the sense where this sounds the way people could talk, but then you realize when you listen closer, no, there's actually a rhythm to it, and there's a very clear style to how he's writing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get real geeky
for
just a few seconds, but it's very much like Chekhov, like Shakespeare, sort of like Mamet, where the language is written in a style that's heightened because it heightens the tragedy. You know, it's not kitchen sink. Yeah. All the emotions are really, really big. You know, even though it's a tight space in the backyard, the emotions are very much like Shakespearean in nature. And I think that's why the language really works when it's heightened.
We'll talk about now translating that to film, because that sort of big emotion, that heightened nature is quintessential to the theater, but to the film, I think it takes a little bit of not necessarily reworking, or does it take any reworking and sort of reworking your performance at all?
Well, in terms of the language and all of that, I think that if you rework it too much and make it too cinematic, you can reduce it, is what you can do. So you think to yourself, you almost dumb it down. You say, oh, people don't want to hear someone talk that much. Let's cut.
I thought it was thrilling to watch that in cinema.
Well, sometimes you have to take the risk. Yeah. Sometimes you have to do something different, you know. And that's what I was looking for in my career, something that was different. And in terms of the acting, listen, when you know, the scene that I did with him, which is a big scene where I say, you know, I've been standing with you for 18 years. That scene is 13-page scene. It starts in the house, and it kind of starts really slow, like any kind of really traumatic scene you've ever had with a husband or a boyfriend. Everyone knows what I mean. That one big fight that ends the relationship, you know, especially in New York. You see them all the time on the street, you know. It's that one big fight. It starts really, really slow, and you really see the breakdown of a marriage. I couldn't do it small. I tried. I really did. I showed up on set. I said, I'm going to do my work as an actress, and I'm going to make it real small, Denzel, you know. And we did the scene. He said, you know, Rose, it's not easy for me to admit I've been standing in the same spot for 18 years. And I said, well, I've been standing with you.
That works to me right now. I mean,
It works because I'm sitting about a few paces from you, and I've sucked out all my emotion. I don't have anything invested in you. Not that I don't like you. I mean, I like you. You know, you seem like a very nice man.
if only you were the first to have said that to me. It's just
But I
every
remember
day now.
doing it that way, and he was like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm doing it small for the screen. He said, why? And I said, because it's too big. It's big. He said, well, do what you think is too big. And I remember I did it. I've been standing with you. And he said, I don't think that's too big. And because there are those moments in life that are not small. And I'm convinced of this. Those moments that are big, where we leave our snot, our piss, our poop on the floor, where we just lose our minds, vanity gets thrown out the window, we basically feel like we're fighting for our lives. Those moments we want to forget. We really do. As soon as they happen, it could be anything. It could be, for me, it was my father dying. The moment that he stopped breathing at hospice. You know, the breakup of a relationship, when you got really, really, really mad at someone and it maybe wasn't justified, but you went off. Maybe a few minutes later you calmed down. Those moments are very hard to play as an actor. Very difficult.
It's very smart of you to say that they're hard to play as an actor, because I think they are the moments that movies tend to write around as much as possible, because they know that they don't want to have to put an actor in that difficult of a situation, you know?
Well, actors don't want to put themselves in that situation either. And a lot of times, if you put really nice music behind the actor and you put that camera really close to them, you don't know that they're not really going there. They really aren't. Some are. There's terrific actors out there. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it's different when you're playing emotions, when you're taking a sip of water and you have the presence of mind to maybe cry a little bit and wipe your nose.
The one tear.
Yeah, exactly. But then there are those moments where you're not thinking about any of that. Those moments when you feel like a feral dog, like a cornered lion, and you've got to fight for your life, and the stakes are really, really, really high, so you have to go for it. It's frightening to lose control. That's what it is. It's frightening to lose that kind of control, to not have any control over your emotions. But there are moments like the scene where my marriage is taken away from me, my purpose is taken away from me, that's where I've got to go. It's in the script.
Can I ask, how many takes did you have to do of completely losing control?
23.
Are you joking?
Does it look like I'm joking?
He made you do that. So he made you do that 23 times. What is that like as an actress? We're talking about, you know, you're saying that no actress really wants to go there because you know it's going to be difficult. But when you do go there, how do you do it 23 times? How do you maintain? And is that the only thing you had to do that day? Because I wouldn't want to do anything else.
I had a really nice drink after that scene. Allow me to be a geek for another moment. You use your craft is what you do. I mean, listen, acting is not rocket science. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, you know, that I have the most important job in the world, but it is an art form. There is a way of getting through a scene without and protecting yourself. There are techniques in breathing. There are techniques in terms of getting into the script, understanding who your character is at that moment. So, listen, the same technique that afforded me the 114 performances on stage is the same technique I had to use in the film. There are just certain characters that are like that. You got to do the work.
And I would imagine that working on How to Get Away with Murder, a show where you have many scenes in every episode where you're kind of losing control, that's where your craft and your technique really comes into play, because you have to do it quite, like, almost daily at that point.
And especially in situations where you're like, that wouldn't happen.
Talk about height.
Yeah, but you got to believe it. That's another thing you do in acting school. You are put in situations that are absolutely fantastical, but you have to make it believable.
Like say, for instance, you got a group of villains, super villains together and had to go fight.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's like those kinds of situations.
Yep, you got it. And here's the thing about TV. I get this from people all the time. Like I'll get even a family member who called me 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday while I'm on the set. They don't understand. I'm on the set. And they'll say, can you go down to such and such and send me this, that? It's like, do you know I'm on a set? When you're on a set, you're number one on the call sheet. You can work 16, 17-hour day. You get 30 minutes for lunch. It works really fast. And on one episode shoots for 8 to 10 days, and on the 6th day, you're doing double up days, so you're shooting 2 episodes. You're shooting the next episode and the episode you're in at the same time. And so you've got to pace yourself. You've got to understand, you've got to pace yourself, you know, and it's very difficult with How to Get Away with Murder because it's always heightened.
Did you know that it was going to be like that going into How to Get Away, with people telling you, okay, this is an amazing opportunity for you, but it's going to be a lot of work and you're going to have to pace yourself every day? Or did you just jump in and were like, wait a minute, this is a ton of work?
No, I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And I have to say that I'm always trying to make it less work by saying, listen, and this is not who I am. Like most people who know me would laugh at this. Okay, I would say, you know, I'm number one on the call sheet. That means I want 1 day off a week. You know, 1 day off, and, you know, because it's really hard on me. Kerry Washington doesn't get that. I mean, that's a woman who really works. I do 15 episodes. She does 22. But it's hard. And especially because it feels like a job, that you're there every single day, 16, 18 hours, you're doing scene after scene, and you're doing some scenes that make you very uncomfortable, like the sex scenes.
How do you get okay with doing sex scenes? Have you gotten okay with it, or are you?
No.
No? Is that when you have a drink before the scene rather than after the scene?
You know what? I would never admit that to you. But I always said, you know, I'm risky as an actress. I want to be sexualized. I'm 51. I'm dark-skinned. You know, we should be sexualized too. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. That's what I said before I shot the show. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't have to do a sex scene anymore.
I made my point, guys. I've had sex on camera. We're good.
Especially with Billy Brown, who plays, you know, one of my paramours. I just, you know, you're in a scene, and I consider myself to be a serious actress. And so I'm like, okay, Nate is my boyfriend. This is how we met. You know, these are our memories together, and I'm in bed with him. I'm trying to make it so specific, and then he gets out of the bed with his body that looks like it's genetically modified. And they spritz water and baby oil on his body. They tell him to turn around so they could get a really good shot at the back of his ass, you know? And then I'm like, okay, I'm on TV. I'm not in this situation anymore. I'm on TV. And I say, you know what? Keep the camera on him, because I'm going to get out of this bed. Do not point at me.
Is there a certain element of that, though, that's kind of empowering in the sense, as you said, you're a 51-year-old black woman, you're on camera, and you're having these sex scenes.
Absolutely.
And you're having a sex scene with, like you said, a genetically modified male model.
Yes. There is something great about it.
I mean, usually
there is something great about it because my big aha moment, they say the best thing, that your job as an actor is to always ask why. That's the big question, why? Why is my character doing this? Why? You ask yourself that, right?
Drives directors crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ask it out loud. I don't drive it, I ask it, you know, of myself. But the big thing was when I saw the pilot, and there is nothing in the English language, there is nothing in your life to prepare you for watching yourself on screen, okay? It's horrific. All right, so I'm watching the pilot episode, and all the things that I thought I was, I'm not seeing. Like, I mean, I said, what the hell was I doing? What the hell was I thinking? I mean, I know I was working out and getting in the jacuzzi every day, but it just wasn't working for me. I wasn't the sexy, mysterious woman that I was thinking about. And then my next question was, why aren't I the sexy, mysterious woman I was thinking about? What does sexy and mysterious look like? What is sexy? What is, and I make the distinction between sexy and sexual, okay? And for me, sexy is, I don't know, the cover of, one of the magazines where a woman is greased up, when she's been enhanced and all of that. Sexual is just how we are. It's another facet of our humanity that is built from, it could be anything. For me, with Annalise, it's built from sexual abuse, it's built from wanting and needing intimacy and love. And so then I was like, why not? Why can't she be me? With my body, my looks, why can't Nate be attracted to me? We have 350 million people in this country. I will and refuse to believe that every woman out there who's sexualized is a size 2 to a size 00 and under the age of 30. Yeah.
I think when you speak of sexy and how we define sexy, we've been defining sexy for so many years based off of one very particular demographic that has owned most of the major media outlets and most of the ways that we sort of expose people in this country.
Well, we've placed it in an image that's not realistic and humanized, and we've fed it as a commodity to the audience to the point where we believe it, we buy it, and it's completely antithetical to what we do as actors, because what we do as actors is we copy life. That's what we do. That's what you're supposed to do as an actor. That's why people get awards. That's why you love Robert De Niro. That's why you love Meryl Streep. But then it's interesting when we cross the line and we want the commodity. And then the danger is you as an actor, you go to acting school, you're like, I'm going to be an actress. And then you get a role like Annalise Keating, and the first thing you do is you go to the gym. I remember Michael Mann used to say that. He was like, you hire this guy to be in a movie, and he's really character. He's got a gut. He's got bald hair, he's got wrinkles. And then you're like, oh, this is great. He's got a great face. He's going to be great in this movie. And then it comes time to shoot the movie. He's been to the gym. His belly is gone, his wrinkles are gone. He's got Botox. He's got a hair transplant, there is a beauty to, and it is empowering to say that, ask the question, who am I as Annalise Keating? And I think when I did ask that, like I said, it was an aha moment. I felt like I created a character that was grounded in reality, more grounded in reality.
You brought up Meryl Streep. Obviously, she made a big splash at the Golden Globes when she delivered I thought, a wonderful speech. But one of the things that I really loved about what she did was humanize actors and humanize the people that were in that room, specifically you, Dev Patel, and a number of other people, because so often I think this idea of commodity is used for actors and people who create content, media at this point. They are no longer viewed as human beings working behind the camera, in front of the camera. They are solely viewed as a commodity that is worth consuming and then discarding or sort of making fun of, deriding throughout their culture and deriding their beliefs. What was that like for her to sort of step up and say that?
It's hard for me to talk about Meryl because I think she is fabulous. So
she just introduced you.
I love her. It's like I send her messages. I love you more than any human being could love another human being. And I know she's a little freaked out by that. But occupational hazard. You get in the business. I was a journeyman actor for years, off Broadway, regional theater. And then after I did my 10 weeks in the theater, I was in the unemployment line and was happy. I got my 10 weeks of work, collect my unemployment, I'm an actor. And then my career took off. And I always say that the only level you understand when you're a celebrity or actor is the level that you're at. And the level that I'm at now is people feel like you're made of Teflon. They do. They talk about you as if nothing will hurt you, as if you're one-dimensional, when in fact that you are a person with a beating heart that has come from somewhere. And I appreciated the fact that she woke people up, that we're not just Hollywood, that we are a group of actors and artists who transform. Listen, Arthur Miller, the great playwright, said he became a writer because he wanted people to feel less alone. Acting is about exposing. It's about taking the mask off. I do interviews all the time. I did an interview with a woman in London, and she sat there, beautiful woman, and she said, I don't know if I could have done what Rose did in the movie. That's where you lost me. Okay? But no, she was a great interviewer. I don't mean to chastise her at all. But I said, oh, really? You wouldn't have done that? Oh, absolutely not. So how could you have done it? And she had this mask on. And I thought to myself for a minute, you know what? In these 10 minutes that we have, where you're the reporter, if you took that mask off and said, you know what? It was hard for me to imagine that, but, there were times when I made decisions that have surprised me, that have disappointed me, that I have not been perfect. If you would have said that right then and there, we could have had a real connection. But what happened was she kept the mask on. That's what we do as people. Facebook is big with that. Everyone's a great mother. Everyone's a great wife. I see posts with people, I'm like, I know that your child is in social services right now. I know you're a drug addict, or I know you're agoraphobic, or I know you have all kinds of things going on, but according to your post, you're Martha Stewart, Our refusal to expose, to vomit that mess, that's what we do for you. That's our only service. You could put a price tag on that service. You could say it's important or not important. I chose the profession. I choose to see it as important. But if you're not doing that as an actor, if every time you get up there, it's more important for you to keep that mask on and to stay cute, you're not acting. Now, you're doing something. That's cool. You're collecting a paycheck. But that's not what we do. That's not what Ruth Negga does. That's not what Dev Patel does. That's not what Meryl Streep does. And that's why I appreciated what she said, was we are the gatekeepers of connection.
Ruth Negga gave a pretty amazing performance last year as well. Did you see her performance?
I have not seen, but I've seen her in other things, and I think she's fabulous.
And
yeah.
One of the things that you have said is that now that your career has kind of taken off, you want to find ways to tell more stories about women, and specifically women of color. How has that been going, and what is that push like?
Well, it's a fight. It's a fight because usually we are in a narrative, and listen, it's gotten so much better. You have Hidden Figures now, you have Loving, you have Fences, you have,
Great year, a great year.
Great year. You have Birth of a Nation, Queen of Katwe.
And I'll say, just to add to that, not just a great year for films about people of color, just a great year of movies.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. So I believe people are getting it. My thing is that I want people to understand that we're complicated. That's one of the reasons why I love Fences. Fences, they're average people. They didn't go out, they didn't change the world. It's just about a family. And so what you do is you're sitting with their pathology for 2 hours. You're watching them unravel. It's not about them being likable. It's not about them just being sassy. There's no white savior, There's
also no white
anything really.
But I would say that there's no like evil racist white guy that walks in and
Absolutely.
is so obviously the person that's keeping them down. What the racism that's discussed in it is the way that they feel having grown up around it and
Absolutely.
how it affects their daily lives and they communicate with each
Absolutely.
other, which is so much more important to talk about now because it's so much more subtle and it's the way that we have to kind of start understanding race in our culture. Sorry.
Well, we have to start understanding that our similarities. Just put it that way. That's what I want. You know, usually, I remember I did a movie called Disturbia, which I loved, by the way.
Shia LaBeouf movie.
With Shia LaBeouf. I loved it. I loved shooting it. Just loved it. And I played some detective. I would come in and I was like, you know, just ask a question. So, where were you 3 o'clock in the morning? So you were there 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, that was my role. And so when we finally went to see the film, had a fabulous time, by the way. My husband and I, we always have a great time. Went to see the premiere of the film, and my husband, he was watching the film. He said, "V, you the only black person in Disturbia." He was like, even in the hardware store, you didn't see no black people in the hardware store. And I said, "Well, Julie, I wasn't thinking about that. There ain't no next door neighbors, nothing." But, you know, there are whole movies like that. And then when there is the obligatory black character, they come on with their 2 or 3 scenes, and they do, "Where were you 3 o'clock in the morning? Where were you?" You know, blah, 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 blah. And then before you know it, they're gone. And you're thinking, who are they? What's their name? What was their childhood like? What do they love? None of those questions, because it's a device. That's what they're used as. I'm just trying to find narratives that don't do that. That don't do that.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I have been told several times to turn it over to the audience for questions, but sorry, guys.
'Cause
this
I was talking.
She's unbelievable. Let's hear the first question.
Thanks again for being here. I will consider this moment as an early birthday gift to me. I know you've invested a lifetime into the craft, and so my question is, in your opinion, what is the greatest skill an actor can learn, or what quality should he or she have?
To learn the power of doing nothing. To learn the power of just being in the moment and being honest. I think that's the greatest gift an actor can have. Not putting anything on. I mean, you know, it's a 4-hour conversation, but if I had to choose one thing, that would be it. The power and simplicity in acting. That's the greatest power of an actor.
Next question.
Hello, how are you? First of all, I want to say thank you for not only being an amazing artist, but an incredible teacher. You teach us every single time you talk.
I should get paid. I want some pay for that.
I was watching an interview a while ago, and you said something to the effect of that, you know, you were at one point doing theater in the basement of a church, and that really resonated with me because I was doing theater in the basement of a church. And I want to know, like, and today, those experiences, those moments from back then, how does that inform your work now, from the business aspect to the artistic aspect? How did those experiences inform what you do now, today?
All of those experiences taught me how to act. It taught me how to create a character. It taught me how to work in situations where if the director is not there, they're not giving you the note, you know how to formulate a scene. You know the journey of your character. A lot of people, the thing about TV and film especially is you only have to sustain a performance for 30 seconds and then the camera's off, right? In theater, that's not the case. So once you do theater, you have a craft. So when you're given a script, you're given an audition, you know how to piece it together. I mean, I cannot tell you how many actors I've coached. I don't know what they're doing. They don't have any way in. It's like getting someone to build cabinets in your kitchen who has never built a cabinet. And they feel like they're going to be an actor, and you just want to say, 20 years from now, what are you going to be doing? It taught me how to act. It taught me how to craft a performance. Yeah.
Okay, so quick question about acting for the camera rather than the theater. You know, you say you have to sort of sustain that performance when you're on stage. But if you're doing 30-second takes here and there while shooting a movie or a television show, don't you also have to kind of sustain your performance there as well? And do you find that you have to focus in between takes so that you can sort of still maintain it when the camera starts running again?
Well, you do and you don't. Remember what I said. You put some nice music behind. You do some great, beautiful work with the camera, and people, if it's a long scene and they chop it up, in theater, like in theater with fences, the scene where there's a big showdown scene where he says, you know, tells me the big news, and I say, I've been standing with you. That scene, the scene where he brings home the baby, the next scene where we fight, all of those bled together on the stage. There were no breaks. In the movie, it was broken up. So I did have a little bit of time to prepare certain parts of that scene, and, you know, the editor, you know, can piece it together and really make it look like you're sustaining a performance, okay? But on stage, you've got to keep it going every night. All those scenes were together. There's like 4 scenes where the marriage breaks down that were back to back to back to back. Film, you could go to your trailer, you can breathe, you can think about it. Do your little 4 or 5 scenes, you know. He could do like a little camera angle there. Here's another little secret. I don't do it. They have those little menthol things that they have that they blow in the actor's eye to create tears. They'll sometimes put it in the corner because after the 3rd or 4th take, they've dried up. You can't do that on the stage.
You don't even do that on How to Get Away with Murder?
No.
Wow.
I'm dead set against that. I am. I told you, I'm a geek. But sometimes I thought about it, though, on a hard day. But the sustaining of a performance, you really learn that when you do theater. So then when you're doing TV and film, everything is gravy. You've developed a technique in breathing and pacing yourself. You just get it.
I think we have time for one more question right here.
Hey, Viola. So you had a really strong performance in Fences. I was wondering, so the movie's kind of about broken dreams, and your character Rose kind of being there for Denzel's character. Do you feel like, did she have any broken dreams, or was there something that she had wanted to do if she hadn't been married? Or
she says it. She says, "What about my life? You don't think I had dreams and hopes?" Absolutely, she had dreams. And it's so funny that in creating the character, I was thinking, when I was doing her bio, I was thinking, well, Rose, what were your dreams? And I had certain things down there, like she wanted to be a nurse and all of that. But then I thought to myself, it's 1957, highest rate of alcoholism and depression with women, highest rate. Women were and smoking. So I thought it was really powerful that maybe she had those dreams, but maybe she never even spoke them. Maybe even I just thought about that it's like my mom. I had to ask my mom just recently if she had any dreams, and I can't believe how long she was silent. I mean, if I ask any of you what dreams you could just rapid fire, right?
Yeah, millennials.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But yeah, she did. But she's a product of her time. Her dreams were Corey. Her dreams were her husband. Her dreams were keeping that house together, which is why when her husband says, "Alberta, I got her pregnant. Bye." What do you do? Like I said, a caged animal, Yeah.
Viola, I have to let you go. You're so unbelievable in Fences. I wish I could talk to you for the rest of the day. You're just incredible. How to Get Away with Murder comes back next week, right, on ABC?
Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
January 26th,
Third?
23rd, January 23rd.
I believe so, yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, Viola Davis, thank you so much.